guys? Manual Pedal here, and we are about to jump into gear. Now this is a little bit of a different video than I normally do, and I decided to just kind of bring you guys something fresh, a taste of something different from my normal cycling videos that I do and other things that I talk about on the channel here. I hope you've been watching and staying in tune with the videos. I know they've been kind of mixed up a little bit, but I'm always trying to bring something different to the table. So I wanted to just do this video to just share with you guys a little bit something that's really deep and which really caught my attention and emotions on a level that hasn't in a long time with like my cycling and everything that I do. And it's always good to get feedback from people and always be touched by people's words, you know? I think what I've been doing with this feed and my website and everything, just giving back content, just because it's like my passion and I love doing it so much. I don't ask for anything in return, but it's always good to see people impacted from that. So I wanted to read with you guys an email. So I think it's a good way to just talk about different channels of energy and information with the viewer, you guys, and also my fans who are on the website, subscribe and read all the blog posts and stories that I write from my bike trips and everything. So this one here is, I won't say his last name, but it's from Paul. He reached out because he saw a film that I had created a long time ago, and he wanted some advice and tips on how to go. When's a good time to go and make that trip an adventure. I think in your life you have moments where you have a call to adventure, they say. Usually it could happen when you're like in your teens. It could happen in your 20s, they say, in your like late 20s or whatever. It could also happen during the time when you're in the midlife, you know, in your 40s, 50s. It can happen anytime. And so especially if you haven't gone very many places and things like that, you want to get out there and explore. So this was a cross-country reference to a video that I did a long time ago, 4 years ago when I started this channel. I had rode from New York to California. It was about 75 days total, and in between it was a lot of hardships, and it was one of the most impactful trips I've ever taken in my life so far. But it shaped me in so many different ways. And so I'm going to read this email because I wanted to just share with you what Paul had to say. Maybe we can just kind of give him some advice. I'll give him my points, and if you guys can write in the comments your points, and we can just kind of go from there. Hello, Dwayne. I've wanted to make a trip like yours, but life has always gotten in the way. A little background for context. I'm 54 years old and around 250 pounds. I'm feeling like time is not working in my favor, and timing might not get any better than now. I'm going to be divorced after a 30-year marriage. And with the sale of our house, I really could pull this off financially. My trip would go from St. John's, Michigan, mom's house, to Seattle, Washington, my sister's house, and should be 2,400 miles. I'm wondering about equipment, nuts and bolts of doing this trip, and would welcome any inside information you could provide. Okay, in terms of doing a trip like this, you have a bicycle. It mainly can be a touring bicycle, of course, which is a dedicated bicycle that is usually made from steel. Other materials now can include aluminum or carbon fiber. If you want a really strong bike for longevity, I recommend steel frames. I use for my trip a Surly Long Haul Trucker, which is a dedicated touring bike. I put racks and panniers on it. Racks are these mounts that you have that hold your portage. The racks that I use for my Surly Long Haul Trucker is in the front was an Old Man Mountain touring rack, and in the rear I use the Jan Expedition Mountaineer rack. Those racks are extremely durable. They're a little on the heavy side, some of them, except for the Old Man Mountain. I remember that one being relatively light, but those you can pack all your portage that you need, all your necessities, and you can ride. He also asked about equipment. The equipment that I brought on my trip was a tripod. I bought my DSLR camera, which is a Canon 5D Mark III, which was completely heavy. I brought food that I packed because during that trip, I wanted to document everything, and I was shooting a lot. I'm a photographer and a videographer as well, so I shoot a lot of content, I shoot a lot of photography, and I created a film behind this entire trip later down the line when I finished it. And along the way, I was also posting stories on my blog that I would love for you guys to go and check out. But those are some of the things that I bought. My bike weighed so much. To be honest with you, I didn't even weigh it. But when a friend of mine who dropped me off and checked the bike out at one point, he said that my bike was extremely heavy and he thought I was crazy. But that was like at my starting point. But and everyone else who saw my bike thought I was nuts too. I had solar panels hooked up. So it depends. I mean, you can go self-sufficient. You can be out there and you can take on a trip like this for long extended periods of time. If you're looking for something on the lighter side, which I've learned during my trip, was that when I saw people out there who had different setups, I learned along the way that you can actually go very much lighter. So setups that I've seen were like road bikes that had really lightweight kits on it. I saw one guy that had bags, like bike packing bags, now that I've come to know that that's also another melodramatic sport, bike packing, that I like to take on now. And it inspired me to change up my setups over the years. And so fully loaded, I brought the entire kitchen sink. I brought panniers, which were from Ortlieb. They make these nice waterproof bags that you can mount on the front and rear of your racks. I also had a front handlebar rack, which I used. That was just a bag that I had mounted from my hiking backpack that actually worked on the handlebar. That was carried my little point and shoot camera, which was my Ricoh GR. It also had quick snacks like Cliff Bars and things like that. I also had what else did I have? I have my sleeping bag, which went into the back rack, which laid over the back. I also had my sleeping pad that I used as well. Looking back, I could have changed my setup entirely. It's all relative, you know. I mean, depends on what you're looking for. For me, they say on the first trip of a bicycle tour, you'll probably wind up bringing everything. What you want to do is lay everything out on the floor and then cut your setup in half. And that's what I didn't do, because I realized I needed everything. I brought battery packs, solar panels. It was crazy. Actually, on my website, if you look back on the gear review section of my website, check it out. You'll see my setup that I used for my trip. It was ridiculous. But definitely take notes. Look at what other guys are doing. So many other guys out there who ride. I learned a lot from bicycle setups, like websites like bikepacking.com. There's one guy who I want to just quote, who has amazing stories. His name's Joe Cruz. He does a lot of awesome bike packing stuff. I love his stories. I love his bicycle setups as well. But I don't want you to get too fixated around gear. You can use any bicycle. It's more so about, of course, the journey, the adventure, and traveling to these places that are unknown, and building a story around it, you know. I recommend bringing a camera. I rode with a guy named Ken who didn't have a camera at all. He uses his phone pretty much. I guess, you know, obviously it is a camera, it's not dedicated, but he wasn't really shooting photography at all. He just wanted to go for the ride. I met him in Colorado. I intended on doing this trip solo, but I met him, and lifetime friend now. Keep in touch here and there, and you meet so many people. It's been such an impactful trip. In terms of other gear, you want to make sure the clothing is on par. I would bring a waterproof kit. I would definitely bring a jacket that's waterproof as well. You might want to bring something that's really lightweight, like shorts that you can swap into, because it will get hot in some of the warmer states on the West Coast. This all depended on where you're traveling to, though. So for me, I did east to west. That was across the entire continental US. So it did get really hot. It got rainy. Depending on where you are, I had to send a lot of gear back via mail as well. So it was kind of crazy. Over the years after that, I changed my setups to bikepacking style setups, which are much lighter setups, where it didn't require me to have that much gear, because I would stuff them in my bags. But yeah, there's many different ways to go about it. In terms of when to go, mindset. Something to think about, you know. So here you go. I mean, you have desire and you have outcome, right? In between, there's this space. That's your thinking space. That's where you come up with all your ideas. You come up with where you might want to go. You might want to come up with your route over here, things you might want to accomplish along the way. And sometimes in between that, it could be tough, kind of just coming up with the idea of this whole entire trip, because it's like, oh man, like I wish I could find the time to do that. But it's if it's something you fathom, if you feel like you can do it, like for instance, Paul said that financially he'll be able to make it happen, then I would try to see if you can make it happen, you know. It's all dependent, it's all circumstantial to your situation. For me, I had a call to adventure. I was, I want to say like in my 20s, I was around like 26 years old when I started planning this out. I wanted to do something. I read Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist, and once I read that book, I knew I wanted to travel. I really wanted to travel. I wanted to see different places, and that's what my passion was. That's what my purpose was, to get out there and see things. And I wanted to do it at a scale economically where it was affordable, and where I didn't require me to take a plane there, because I didn't have money for airplane flights. So I thought just riding my bike to California would be a great way to do it. I did research, saw that people were doing it. I always rode bikes. I had a camping experience prior to this, and so I thought, you know, you put one and two together, you have bicycle touring and bike packing, you know. And so that was, for me, something that I did. Along the way, it was hard, you know. I feel like when you do something that is tough, it makes you grow stronger, even though it's something that it's required for you to grow stronger. You automatically grow stronger when you take on something that is tough. The experience along the way, you know, it forces you to grow stronger. And so this trip has shaped me in so many ways that I couldn't even put a price on, you know, like mentally, holistically, like everything just changed for me post that trip. During the way, it was tough, you know. I dealt with a lot of hardships, but yeah, other than that, it was an amazing experience. You can check out the film that I made for it. It's called East to West. It's in my short films section on my website. So definitely check that out. In fact, I would love for you all to go check out the website, because that's where I do a lot of my storytelling. I make YouTube videos as well, because I love YouTube, and I love you guys who are following along and everything. But I really want you guys to also check out the website. So definitely subscribe to the site and my newsletter so you can see all the stories that I create. I got a really cool trip coming up. I'll be in Amsterdam, and I'll be doing a little bit of biking and stuff there as well. So I'll be building some film around that, and also some stuff on YouTube to share with you all. But yeah, I mean, in terms of going, you know, it's all relative to your situation. I think definitely planning it out strategically is always going to be good to do. It took me about a full year to plan out my trip before I took the plunge and realized, like, this is time to go. There's no better time than now, you know. And from that, I created what I have here called Manual Pedal. I don't have tons of subscribers, you know, but I've been building context around this site, and I've been building and building and building everywhere I travel to with my bike, just because it's my passion and something that it's who I am, you know, like I am Manual Pedal. And so that'll always be there, even if you don't see the videos as often as I used to post back then. I'm still here. I'm still getting these videos knocked out. And so I want you guys to all tune in. So definitely check out the website. In terms of bike packing setups, let me know if you want to hear a little bit more about that. I can do more. I can talk more about that setup as well, because I've done a lot of that too. And you can check out the website for that too, because I have a lot of my gear laid out on there as well. And that's pretty much it. I mean, if you like this format, let me know. I would love to talk more with you guys directly on video if you're interested. But other than that, always again, yours truly, Manual Pedal here. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to my newsletter on my website as well. Check out the Facebook page, and check me out on Instagram, where I do the majority of my posts. That's Manual Pedal Pics. I will put that over here so you can see. And I'll see you all next time. Take care.